Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Hope you're ready to flex those brain muscles. Today we're going to talk about how to multiply rational expressions. So in the last video we talked about simplifying and reducing rational expressions, and now we're going to multiply them. So very similar, but just a little twist to it. So let's see. Here are the steps we generally take when we multiply these rational expressions. First thing we do is we factor. Same thing, factor the top and the bottom just like we did in the last video. Then we simply just multiply across. Basically, we just combine everything into one big fraction, and then we see what we can cancel and what we can simplify. So let's see, just a quick recap. How do I multiply fractions? Maybe you're thinking, wait, it's been too long, I don't remember quite how to do that, I need a refresher. So when we multiply fractions, we simply just multiply across. So I'm going to multiply 2 times 1, that's going to give me a 2 on top. I'm going to multiply 3 times 2, that's going to give me a 6 on bottom. And then what we do, simplify. We're going to reduce this to 1/3. So this is how we multiply fractions. Now what if we have x's involved? So in this case we got 3x over 2 times 4 over x squared. It's the same thing. Multiply the top across, so it's going to be 12x on the top. And on the bottom, multiply across 2x squared. And now I can again simplify. The 2 will go into the 12 and that will become a 6. And the x will go into the x squared and that will be 6 over x. So that's pretty much what we're going to do with these rational expressions, except just a lot more. More factoring, more work. But this is good practice. So let's go ahead and get into an example. Okay, let's go ahead and dive right into an example. We have these two rational expressions. They are being multiplied. So what's the first thing we do? We factor the top and the bottom of both these rational expressions. So I'm going to factor this numerator and this denominator. It looks like this numerator will not factor, so I'm going to keep it as x plus 7. I can't take out any common factor. It has to just stay like that, x plus 7. In this case, I can take out a 7 in this denominator here. So I can take out a 7, and I am left with x plus 5. Right, and this is as factored as that will get. So let's see, times x squared. So let's see, this is a trinomial, right? And a is equal to 1. So I can use this multiply add method, where I'm looking for two numbers that multiply together to be negative 40, but add together to be negative 3. So if I break down the factors of 40, I have 40 and 1, that's not going to work, clearly. 20 and 2, 10 and 4, none of these are working. Oh, I think 8 is going to work, 8 and 5. So let's see, if I have minus 8 and a plus 5, these are going to be my magic numbers, right? So let's see, minus 8 plus 5, so that's what's going to be in my parentheses here, x minus 8 times x plus 5 over x minus 8. And now what I can do is I can go ahead and multiply across if I want. Another thing I could do is I can notice that I can already cancel something, because this is the same as saying x minus 8 over x minus 8 times x plus 5 over 1. I could basically split this up, right? And so these can cancel. So what am I left with? I am left with x plus 5 over here, and I just multiply across here. So I'm left with x plus 7 times x plus 5 over 7 times x plus 5. And I can cancel one more thing. These x plus 5s are gone, right? And now what am I left with? This final answer is x plus 7 over 7. And that's it. That's the simplest form of these two rational expressions being multiplied. So that's all it is, a bunch of factoring and canceling. So we'll go ahead and do one more example. Alright, so let's go ahead and do our last example. We're just going to multiply these two rational expressions and leave it in the most reduced, simplest form we can. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and try to factor the top and bottom here. And it actually looks like that I can't factor this top or bottom. In the top I just have one term, and the bottom there's no difference of squares or anything, so I just have to leave that as it is. And in some cases this will happen, and it's okay. It will still end up working out just fine. Let's see, so 45x squared and then x minus 9. Jeez, there we go. X minus 9 is on the bottom. So that just stays as is. and we're going to multiply by it. So now I have to factor the top and bottom of this second rational expression. So the top, as you can see, is just a trinomial where a equals 1. So I can go ahead and look for two things that multiply together to give me negative 36, but add together to give me negative 5. So let's see, what do I have? 36. I have 36 and 1, that's not going to work. 18 and 2, that's not going to work. 9 and 4, I think this will work, and it's going to be minus 9 plus 4, right? So these are my magic numbers, so I can go ahead and write those in here. X minus 9, x plus 4. And that's all on top. And now let's see how I can factor this denominator. It looks like it definitely has a common factor. I can take out 3x squared, it looks like. Let's see what happens when I take out 3x squared. 3x squared. What am I left with? X plus 4. Oh, and look what happens here. X plus 4. X plus 4. I can go ahead and cross those out. And now I'm just going to combine everything into one big fraction. And as you get better at this, you can even just skip a step and just see that you're going to end up crossing certain things out. But I'm going to go ahead and write it. And one big fraction, 45x squared times x minus 9. Let's see, 45x squared times x minus 9 over x minus 9 times 3x squared. So let's see what cancels. My x minus 9's cancel. X minus 9 and x minus 9. My x squareds cancel. And my 3 goes into my 45. And I'm left with 15. And that is the final reduced form of these two rational expressions being multiplied. So as you can see, it gets a little repetitive. It's just a bunch of factoring. So really practice factoring, do a bunch of example problems, do a bunch of practice problems, and hope you enjoyed the video. Comment, leave questions below, and I'll see you in the next video. Keep making those brain gains.